This is Assassin's Creed Shadows. We're here on the Nintendo Switch 2. Be sure to like the video, subscribing is great as well. It's time for us to leap into the latest Assassin's Creed adventure here on the Nintendo Switch 2. Isn't that exciting? So yeah, the full-scale experience of the game is available here on the Switch 2, which to me is really quite wild. It's following in the footsteps of Outlaws, which was a very impressive open-world game from Ubisoft, running on this console, and being something that is comparable to what we're seeing on the PlayStation, the Xbox. It's quite amazing. I say that in terms of being parity complete, all the features, all the content, the cross progression with your saves, taking your save from playing it somewhere else, and then playing it on the Switch 2, or starting fresh, whatever your thing is. It's just really cool that you could, in theory, if you wanted to, be playing this on PlayStation 5 Pro, for instance, and then being like, oh, I want to go somewhere, and then just going and playing somewhere else and having this full-scale open-world experience here. And it's just so impressive because this game is so big. Seriously, like, this game is absolutely massive. The fact you can actually get this running here is truly quite exciting, and I hope it kind of leads way for them to add additional Assassin's Creed titles. Because, I mean, if you can get this running on here, you should be able to get any of them running on here. So hopefully they do a little bit of the legacy stuff, but I could see why they wanted to get the newest, most exciting Creed title on here. Just because they could. And that in itself is truly quite a special setup and experience to have. Really, like, this is a pretty great game in terms of scale, style, and design, and combat, and it's that full-scale, modern, open-world excitement that Assassin's Creed is providing when you play it in the modern era. So this is the newer Creed. Like, if you're new to the franchise, I guess, this is just the styling that we get these days, but, it's sort of the RPG-esque Creed, if you're not familiar with it. That's not good. Ration it up. So yeah, you get sort of something where you're gathering gear and loot. You've got two characters you're playing as. It's a split perspective where you play as either Naoi here, who's pretty much the lead, and then Yazukai. And you can switch between the two of them during different areas, quests, whatever. Basically, the story sort of mixes between the two of them in plot progression, but you're essentially able to choose which of them you primarily want to play as most of the time. It's just quite interesting as you see these two sort of tackle Japan in their own ways. She's obviously a little bit more of a traditional assassin and a little bit more of a stealth-focused player, a bit of a ninja, as to say. Whereas Yazukai he runs in and he bulldozes through everything and destroys stuff, and it's kind of funny because she's like nimble and smooth and moving up stuff, and he just kind of like runs around and destroys things. He's got a lot of power, and yeah, it's quite interesting to see the two of them, tackle the world in their own way. And that's the story aspect of it, is seeing the two characters go across this land and deal with problems. She's on a revenge tour, and he's just sort of, I wouldn't say a lost soul in the land, but he's someone from somewhere else that's a newcomer to the place that's been settling it over the years and has his own ways of handling situations within the world, which is quite interesting. So let's dive in and let's talk about the technical details for this one. So this game is very similar to what we got with the efforts of Outlaws. So this one appears to be doing something that is a dynamic temporal 1440p to a much lower resolution. It does look like things drop below 1080p a little bit in times, and it is targeting 30 FPS, even with a VRR focus being applied here. And it's using DLSS to achieve this. They've also dropped the global illumination system for a pre-baked one, similar to what they got with the Series S. So you don't get that sort of high-level lighting either, but the lighting in the game still looks really good. It's just not, perhaps, what you're used to if you've been playing this on the other high-end consoles. But the results here are pretty good. This is largely smooth. I think even in the video you've probably seen there are definitely some performance drops, even below that. And I did notice the odd crash, not too many, but the odd crash. They are working on a post-launch update that might patch that out. I don't know for sure, but kind of give you details. We're mostly going around the main city of the game. This is the busiest part of the world. At least I think so, just in terms of the number of kind of NPCs and that, and buildings, and things going on, and yeah, I sort of use this as a bit of a testing ground, just because it is a busier place, so it tends to be a little bit more stressful. But there are many different castles and places you can visit. This world is absolutely massive. It would take you so many hours to get through all this, like tens of hours to just do story stuff. And then on top of that, you've got, you know, endless side quests and activities, and then post-launch content, and all these random missions you can come across, and little places where you gather like loot and resources and other items. It's a very large game. Like, it is absolutely insanely massive. And for options, we've got HDR support. There are various controls you can customize. For the Switch 2, you can adjust, do things on the touchpad. So it does have, like, touchscreen support for, like, maps and stuff. And, you know, audio settings, interface things, gameplay tuning. Lots of difficulty options. So this game kind of has an interesting setup where you are essentially able to kind of play the game from the usual Creed you're probably used to, in terms of the modern set where you're doing role-playing type stuff and like leveling up your character. And then there's also, and you know, everything's sort of like, oh, here's where everything is. And then there's like the less guided modes. I found with the less guided modes though, I just like never really easily found out where I was going. I just got tired of it. But I know some people are loving that. It just added like, it felt like padding almost, in the sense that it added like hours of like just searching around trying to be like, okay, where's this thing? Where's that thing? And then being like, oh, here it is. Whereas, like, I'd rather just be told where things are. Because I just don't have the time. And I mean, it's great for others that do, but yeah, yeah. Also, from a technical standpoint, I do want to say that this game does look really good in sense of, like, the sense of scale. Like, you can tell that there's definitely, like, much lower textures, the environment, the grass is toned down. You know, the texture resolution is much lower, and of course dynamically scaled, and of course, depending on how bad everything is in the environment, it can go pretty intense. But you still get the full sense of scale. And I think that's quite impressive. Like, I don't know if you quite get the draw distance that you do on other consoles. I'd have to do like a specific comparison there, but you could see all the way out there the mountain in the distance. At the beginning, if you weren't looking for it, we were on top of the tower, but we could see the castle far away. The draw distance is very impressive for the Switch. And in general, the draw distance when I was first reviewing this on PlayStation and Xbox was quite mind-blowing. I don't know if a lot of people notice that, but like, you really do feel like when you're in Japan, you feel like there's just endless locations behind you. Like, you really feel like you are in a full world, a full detailed world. And while, like, you know, again, the fidelity and stuff isn't quite the same, it's all here. The whole game's here, and the full setup of it is here, and that, to me, is really genuinely impressive that they were able to achieve that and do that on the Switch too. And yeah, I'm just kind of a little mind blown by it, honestly. Like, I'm playing it, and it's like, yeah, of course they were able to do this. They did Outlaws and stuff. But I'm just sitting here being like, oh, this would be so cool if they just continue doing like a whole bunch of the Creed games. It would be such a fun revisit to just sit here and kind of like jump along the different Creed titles and revisit them, because they're so much fun. Honestly, the Creed games are great, and they're really genuinely enjoyable experiences. And this one offers, yeah, a pretty cool world. I actually quite like the characters and the setup of it. And Naoi here, she's really, you know, quite an interesting character, and really sort of, to me, the heart of like the narrative and everything like that. as you go about figuring out the best way to grasp the revenge and everything you're after. And you're working through this map, as to say, like a sort of map of people. This crime group of sorts that like wronged you, and you're sort of discovering who these people are and figuring it out as you continue to go along in the world. So the more you go and you do one thing, it'll lead you to figuring out where this other person is, and this other person, and then eventually you will, you know, find the person you're after and take them out and assassinate them. Of course, there's little boss fight type scenarios and other little things that pop up, and doing these missions and gathering loot and items and, you know, different types of like leveling for your equipment and all that other stuff. Like, there's lots of complex systems in this game, and it goes beyond the scope of just story and whatnot. But the story itself is quite long, and you go through this massive world. Like, the game is really, really big. So this is just, like I said, the main kind of city area. But, like, I worked through the main story, which was tens of hours. And it kind of looks like I really didn't do much, but yet I did so much. Like, all of these places are like a city. All these locations have little things for you to do, vantage points, fast travel points, things to see, different locations. And it's kind of crazy. Like, I did all this stuff in all these places, and yet there's so much more of the world that I could possibly take in and do, and it's just like, it's daunting, because I think I finished it, I still played afterwards and did stuff. And yet there's just like more of it, and more of it, and more of it, and there's also like a base building mechanic where you like manage your hideout and your teams, and you go and do stuff. It's dauntingly, crazily big, but that's what we come to expect for the Assassin's Creed titles, the mainline ones. Obviously, they do have, you know, the smaller titles here or there that sort of act as a bit of a backbone for these ones. But you get what I'm saying. Just like, these games have gotten so impressively large and detailed too. This is such a big upgrade for the Assassin's Creed titles too, because, you know, you get the big open world games and they always look great. And they always play well, and they're always quite fantastic, and, you know, they've always got the charm of their bugs. But this is a very, very polished Creed game. And I think that's what's really, really quite impressive for me, is just like the polish, but also that they've really leveled up the environments. Just every little detail out in the forest and that is so impressive. And that's something like is a little harder to showcase when we're in a city like this. But when you go out into the forests and you visit all these places, there's all this fauna and there's all this stuff and flora everywhere too. And it's just like, it's filled to the brim with like things going on, foliage, critters, all kinds of stuff just doing things in the backdrop of the world. And you yourself are just kind of like going along, using your mount to explore, walking, running, you know, parkouring wherever you want to go. You're visiting all these places, and it's like such a lively, exciting open world that's just waiting for you to visit and explore it, which is quite exciting. And you're never sure, you know, what exactly you'll come across next, and what sort of challenge you'll do, or what sort of enemy you'll fight, and it's quite entertaining, because you do the main story, and then you just have like endless side stuff, and it's like, yeah, you could finish it, but like, do you ever really finish these games these days? Is almost my sort of thing. And it's really impressive for the ones that do, but it's like, yeah, I can't get over how big these games are. And then on top of that, they've got these luscious, dynamic weathering conditions, and then seasonal conditions too. So the world actually changes over time as you play it. You'll actually find that the world itself is different. So you can come and be like, okay, well, this is this season, and then this is this season. You'll see the seasons change, and that sort of plays into your whole, when you're discovered and when you're known, and it's huge factors that all complement the systems and the mechanics of this gameplay. It's truly remarkable. Seriously, like, this game is just big. Big, big, big. So if you've been looking for Creed, at a massive scale, this is kind of your game. We're gonna fast travel and show you off the other character here, which is, I think this is gonna be a little funny because he's got a very specific style, but also we were doing that with both the characters when I was streaming it. I can't remember. We were like, oh, it's for combat balance. You're lighter. You're not wearing armor and stuff. But I just want you to get an idea of the loading. It does take a little bit to load. I also notice a little bit of slowness with the maps and stuff, but yeah, this is funny because he's up here, and then yeah, he's woo! But he's not really like an assassin type character. See, that's funny because he's got armor here, and then he doesn't have clothes on in there. I wonder if it has to do with playing this on different versions of the game where I don't have certain equipment and stuff. I wonder if that's a thing. Is he stuck? Oh, he's bugged out. Yeah, no, he is. Okay, I wonder if I could press back and yeah, no, he's I'm almost out of breath. Yeah, well, I can't. There we go. That was close. Man, you should I'm gonna go over here where it's like more of a just a quick step up. You know, we almost lost the big guy right there. Whew. All right, yeah, no, this game really is quite impressive, honestly. Like it was a pretty good enjoyable experience too. I liked the narrative enough. I liked the characters and where you were going, and I liked the changes that they did to the mechanics of this. I actually thought this was quite an impressive. Sort of going back to a little bit more towards basics Creed game, but still being firmly set up in the modern sort of role-playing side of Creed. You can see how he's just much more of a vicious attacking character. He plays well with the Joy-Cons too. Yeah. Am I out of shots? Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Climb, climb, climb. Did he jump up here to hit the thing and then he jumped down? Can I suppose I could like jump down there and just like assassinate that guy. Well, that's not a... Well, he totally took that in grace, didn't he? Needless to say, it's a fun game. It's quite violent, it's got some neat modes, it's got some neat aesthetics to it. Plays well. I'm impressed with it here on the Switch too. I think you'll be very happy with the game if you play it this way. And I eagerly await Ubisoft giving us, hopefully, the other Creed titles, because I would love to sit and do like a little bit of a flashbacks tour of the greatest hits, as to say here, because the possibilities are endless. On the Switch too, it feels like, as far as getting these games and jumping in and talking about some of these like favorites that have released over the years. It's as if, you know, like the Switch 1 couldn't handle a lot of the games. And now the Switch 2 can, and we're going to be finally enjoying those experiences in a different compact format. Because it's always really cool to see these games, sort of from a perspective of like, oh, this is a high-end console thing, and then seeing it on the Switch 2, where it's like, okay, what sacrifices and adjustments do they have to make this work? To me, that's always quite fascinating, is just the difference in the technology between the versions of these games and what they offer. And it's better than it used to be when it was like cross-gen. You get different versions of a game on both platforms, because it's the same game. It's just the choices they make to make it playable on there. And yeah, this is really, really cool. And there's, you know, there's all the swimming stuff, and there's all the world adventure stuff. Yeah, I'd say overall this is another quite impressive port for me. It really is amazing that they were able to get this on this console, because I was so impressed with the game itself on other platforms. And just to see it running here on the Switch too, it's yeah, it actually quite impresses me. That's another good win for Ubisoft in regards to getting their games in different places and making this game available for so many people to enjoy now, right? Because obviously it's got a whole new market of individuals or people that just want to play this thing out on the go, right? Taking this full game and just being like, oh, I want to continue my story somewhere else. You have that option. And it's just an endless amount of content. They just added some more stuff, and there's more things on the horizon, and I'm sure you will be blown away by this experience if you're jumping in fresh, or if you're returning to it for whatever reason. Assassin's Creed Shadows on Switch 2 is excellent.